Thank you for being here today. I appreciate your presence. This is going to be a very informal time, and so we're going to invite you to have moments where you share stories and memories, and you don't have to feel like you need to stick where you are. It's very free-flowing here. My name is Pastor Paul. I'm the pastor of Pilgrim Church, and we're delighted to have you here for this service in honor and memory of Sally Rager. And as we begin, know that there will be an opportunity for you to share stories and memories in just a few minutes. So as you're sitting here and pondering, we invite you to think about that. We are also streaming this service, and so it will be available later on the Pilgrim Church Facebook page where you can send to other people who weren't able to be here today. Sally Mastison Rager was born on November 10th, 1959 to Macy Irene Mastison and James Darrell Mastison. She was the second of four children that included an older sister and two younger brothers. From a young age, Sally loved baby dolls and knew she wanted to be a mom. Her kind and sensitive nature allowed her to make friends easily, while her bubbly personality made her memorable. Sally grew up on the same street, Indiana Street, her entire childhood, and would go on to graduate from Harrison High School in 1978. She became an avid skater in her youth and spent many nights at the United Skates of America. And it was there at USA that she would meet the father of her children, Rick Rager. They were married in 1987, and they would have their son Brandon Allen in 1988, followed a year later by their daughter Brittany Lee Irene in 1989. And though they later separated, through Rick, she gained her honorary children, Tristan Drake and Caitlin Dawn, and would always refer to him as one of her best friends, to Rick. In 2001, Sally left with her family and moved from Indiana to Alabama to be closer to her mother and her aunt, Earlene. She would go on to work at the Wetumpka Preschool and Child Development Center, a job she adored. She was an amazing woman, an incredible mom, an all-around great lady who loved working with kids and taking care of others. But her favorite job started in 2006 when she gained the job of grandma. That was when Brandon blessed her with her grandsons Draven and Jaden. Sally would be forced into early retirement due to extreme rheumatoid arthritis and other health conditions. But she never gave up her sweet and kind nature, even as her body turned against her. Sally prayed for loved ones and strangers with the same kind of compassion, and worried constantly about friends, family, old co-workers, classmates, and the children she used to keep at her daycare. She was also a constant cheerleader, always praising and cheering her loved ones on. She loved her children, her son-in-law Taylor, her grandchildren, and her fur grandchildren, Bowser, Mabel, Riley, Pogo, Canada, and Tyrion. I think I said all those right? All right. And would probably show pictures of them on her phone more than anybody else. Sally was an incredibly smart woman, and she greatly enjoyed reading and trivia. The theme to Jeopardy would often be heard coming down the hall from her room. The ocean was her happy place, and she could stare out into it for hours. She also loved star watching. Mountain Dew was her favorite drink, and fried sushi was her favorite thing to eat. We have Mountain Dew today, not fried sushi. Her children feel lost without her, but are forever comforted by the fact that they had the best mom ever. When Brittany and I were talking about this service, she had a story from the Bible that she couldn't remember exactly where it was from, but I think I found it. It's from the second book of Timothy, and she said it always reminded her of her mom. See if I got it right. In the first chapter, Paul writes, I thank God whom I serve, as my ancestor did, with a clear conscience. As night and day, I constantly remember you all in my prayers. Recalling your tears, I long to see you, so that I may be filled with joy. I have been reminded of your sincere faith, which first lived in your grandmother and in your mother, and I am persuaded now lives in you. For this reason, I remind you to fan into flame the gift of God, which is in you through the laying on of my hands. For God did not give us a spirit of timidity, but a spirit of power and of love and of self-discipline. And finally, there is a story that is dear to Sally's heart that we want to share from the Velveteen Rabbit. The Skin Horse had lived longer in the nursery than any of the others. He was so old that his brown coat was bald in patches and showed the seams underneath. And most of the hairs in his tail had been pulled out to string bead necklaces. He was wise, for he had seen a long succession of mechanical toys arrive to boast and swagger, and by break their mainsprings and pass away. And he knew that they were only toys and would never turn into anything else. For nursery magic is very strange and wonderful. And only those playthings that are old and wise and experienced, like the Skin Horse, understand all about it. What is real? Asked the rabbit one day when they were lying side by side near the nursery fender before Nana came to tidy the room. Does it mean having things that buzz inside you and a stick-out handle? The Skin Horse said, real isn't how you are made. It's a thing that happens to you. When a child loves you for a long, long time, not just to play with, but really loves you, then you become real. Does it hurt? Asked the rabbit. Sometimes, said the Skin Horse, for he was always truthful. When you are real, you don't mind being hurt. Does it happen all at once, like being wound up, he asked, or bit by bit? It doesn't happen all at once, said the Skin Horse. You become. It takes a long time. That's why it doesn't happen often to people who break easily, or have sharp edges, or who have to be carefully kept. Generally, by the time you are real, most of your hair has been loved off, and your eyes drop out, and you get loose in the joints and very shabby. But these things don't matter at all, because once you are real, you can't be ugly, except to people who don't understand. I suppose you are real, said the rabbit. And then he wished he had not said it, for he thought the Skin Horse might be sensitive. But the Skin Horse only smiled. The boy's uncle made me real, he said. That was a great many years ago. But once you are real, you can't become unreal again. It lasts forever. Well, I don't know if Sally had the hair rubbed off of her by her realness with all of you. But I do know that she was very loved. And your presence here today is a reminder of that. So I want to give you some opportunities to share your stories of the realness that happened with her. And we're going to begin with, are you going first? Or Taylor? Taylor, come on, get it started.
Pull up my notes. All right. Everybody always knows I'm not a good public speaker, so.
When I first met Brittany, I remember her telling me stories about her mom. She would tell me about how kind and caring she was, how she would make sure she had everything she needed, and that she was safe. She always said that she couldn't go to bed unless she knew all her kids were okay. It was 2013 and her mom was in a coma, so I wasn't able to meet her, but if she was anything like Brittany, then that told me all I needed to know. That same year, she came out of the coma and I finally met her at the rehab center she was at. I was very nervous, as most guys are, meeting parents. We walked in, I said hello, we sat in there, and she immediately made me feel so comfortable. She had this way of making you feel relaxed and that you could talk to her about anything. She was a very good listener. I told her about me, and she told me stories about hers and Brittany's lives. We would go to visit her almost every day, and she got better every time. We would go visit her almost every day while she got better, and every time it would be something new to talk about. She never ran out of stories. She eventually got better and was released. At this time, she went to live with Brandon. But she still would call me every day to check in and say hello, which would drive Brittany crazy because she didn't know how she got my number. But I always liked talking to her. I never forget when I asked her and Brittany's dad permission to marry Brittany. I thought she was going to pass out with excitement. Of course, in true Sally fashion, I couldn't tell it was okay because all I could hear was screaming and crying. I was excited to marry Brittany, but also to have a second mom. Time went on, and eventually Sally came to live with us, and people would say I'm a great guy for letting my in-law live with us, but I never saw it that way. I enjoyed having someone to talk with all the time, someone to watch movies, and someone to make us some good home-cooked chili. She was always proud of anything we accomplished, buying a house or a new car, but even simple things like mowing the yard or if I fixed the dishwasher, she would make you feel like you were amazing, and I would definitely miss that. She loves so many people and so many things. She never met a stranger, and it's definitely an empty hole that will be in our lives. We keep telling ourselves that she is no longer in pain, but I would do anything to hear her watching what I call old people TV in her bedroom, or to see Riley and Mabel's face light up when they see her. They say that someone truly dies when you stop talking and thinking about them, so I'll do my best to make sure that never happens. My nickname for Sally was Salad because Brittany said her dad would yell her name, and that's what it sounded like, and I thought it was hilarious. We love you, Salad. We never forget you. I'm glad that you got to be a part of my life.
Salad.
It's all right.
As I was putting on my red nail polish, I thought of both my mom and her father. Mom always loved red nail polish, but she said the same thing every time she saw it. Daddy always said only night walkers wore red nail polish. Oops, sorry, Grandpa. My mother's father passed away when she was pregnant with my older brother, Brandon. Brandon was born the year after his passing, and I was born the year after Brandon was born. Even though I had never met my grandpa, his memory loomed on from my mom's stories. Every time I rescued a bird or wanted to save every stray, Mom would say, "Grandpa was like that. He loved all animals. He even saved a turtle once." It came as no surprise to me then when I went to her YouTube search history to make sure I was collecting all of her favorite songs, her two most recent searches. The first was my nephew singing Fireflies, which was a video I recorded of my now 16-year-old nephew Draven as a 3-year-old singing Fireflies by Owl City. Her second search was for Tide by the Righteous Brothers, a song I instantly recognized as her parents' song. Even towards the end of her life, she was focused on two things: her grandchildren, who were her future, and her parents, which were her past. She told her father's story. Now it's my turn to tell hers. When we met with Pastor Paul, he asked me to describe my mom, and I stammered out kind and generous, but it's overwhelming to describe someone that is so completely a part of your DNA that sometimes I look in the mirror and I see her staring back at me. In the 80s, my mom held the hands of the elderly when she was volunteering for Little Sisters of the Poor. She held the hands of me, my brothers, my sister, and my nephews as we crossed the street. She held other people's children on her hip as she worked at the daycare in her 40s. She rubbed the backs of my friends who were upset or suffering from heartbreak, and sometimes my husband's shoulders when he had too much to drink the morning after New Year's Eve.
Sure did.
I see my mom everywhere, in the ocean, in the stars, in Mountain Dew's bottles. Tom Selleck's mustache, veggie burgers, McDoubles, mainly food because she loved food, and I inherited that from her. I also hear her everywhere, in the wind, in the rain, in birdsong, in the deep quietness that was now there when I walked by her room in our house, and in the lyrics of her favorite songs. In one such song, The Living Years by Mike and the Mechanics, I know that I'm a prisoner to all my father held so dear. I know that I'm a hostage to all his hopes and fears. I just wish I could have told him in the living years. I know that I'm a prisoner to all my mother held so dear. I know that I'm a hostage to all her hopes and fears. I just wish I could have told her in the living years. The song that made Mom think of Grandpa now makes me think of her. It is not lost on me the great cycle of life and death. Is it the natural order of life to lose our parents? Yes. Does that make that fact any easier? No. It's been both a blessing and a curse every time I have said aloud that my mom has died. A blessing because she is free from pain. A curse because I miss her so much. A curse because death is a permanent fixture, a reminder that one day we will all die. A blessing because to say that she died was to know she was really here. In her radiance, her kindness, and her goodness, she was alive and her life did matter. That is both the duality of death and the duality of life. In closure, I could talk about my mom for hours, but mostly I just want to say that I love and I miss her. Taylor misses her. Our pups, Mabel and Riley, misses her. Riley was the biggest grandma boy and loved sleeping with her. Our cats, Pogo, Canada, and Tyrion miss her too, and look at me constantly confused that I won't overfeed them cat treats like she did. Even our fish, Bojack and Erica, miss her. My siblings, nephews, father, great aunt, extended family, in-laws, friends, we all miss her. And now there is a Sally-shaped hole in all of our lives. But for there to be a Sally-shaped hole meant there was once a Sally. And thank God there was. We love you, Mama. More.
Who else would like to share?
Would you all like me to lighten the mood with a funny story?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then
Okay.
Oh yeah, please do.
Yeah.
So,
So, I think I may need to try to find a song to kind of give the mood to this a little bit, guys.
The song you're looking for is My Heart Will Go On.
But there's a certain edition.
It's very special.
you'll see. It'll make sense.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Okay. So, sorry, I didn't have this on my Apple Music, so we'll have to listen to a little bit of an ad. So sorry. So informal. Yeah, you guys want to know about Solitaire Cash? Ooh.
talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah.
You don't really win anything.
So this is this the, oh, here we go. So, any chance to rag on my big brother Brandon, I'm going to take the opportunity, even if it's my mom's celebration of life. So, Mom was super proud. She had bought Brandon a Christmas gift. Now, my brother loves the Titanic, not just the movie, like the history of the Titanic. Like, he likes the ship, he likes learning about it, ever since he was a little boy. So, Mom, I came home one day, and there was a package, and Mom goes, "Oh, that must be Brandon's Christmas gift." And I was like, "Oh, okay, what is it?" And she goes, open it up, it's a Titanic blanket. And I was like, okay, so we opened it up, and you'll get to see this blanket in all of its glory in just a minute. But It's the Titanic sinking into the ocean. With Brandon's name under it. And I said, is this a metaphor for his life? And then to add insult to injury, there's a child that looks like my younger nephew in the corner crying as the ship goes down. And so, but she was so proud.
There we go.
Brandon.
I was like, why did you buy this?
But let me tell you something. Brandon hysterically laughed when he received it. But now it's his favorite blanket in the whole world. So she did know what her son would like. And that's the story of the Titanic blanket.
Anyone else? Come on.
No problem. Go ahead, I was thinking that one. Hey everybody, I'm Tiffany. I am Robin's best friend, Taylor's mom. I'm basically like his honorary aunt / the second mom he never wanted. I met Sally through Brittany and Taylor. My husband was deployed a lot, so I spent most holidays with Trevor and Taylor and Brittany and Robin. And, you know, one of the things I'd actually written in her card that I was talking to her about is that I always look forward to her and the, you know, the chaos that was the holidays over at Robin's house, between her yelling at Taylor to close cabinets and things like that. Yes. You know, Robin having to come apart about the dishwasher. It was just a lot of fun. But it was always, whenever I saw Sally, I didn't know her super well, unfortunately. But I got to know her more through Brittany. I see why Brittany is the way she is. She's very energetic and bubbly, and she's just a sweet person that has so much heart. I always felt a connection with Sally, you know, because of her love of animals. And she passed that on to Brittany, and I feel like she passed it on to me a little bit too, because I'm not allowed to go to the shelter because I'll bring everything back. But I also had a kinship to her, sometime to my detriment to food. She always thought it's okay to be a fat girl. So I appreciate that. We would always have this thing at Miss Robbins where on Thanksgiving, after all the chaos, we'd talk about like who ate more food and who was going to get the appetizers. But it was not just her love of food, it was her love of life. It was all the memories that we made together. It was the stories. It was those hugs that felt like, even for a split second, all your problems went away. You know, you didn't think about them. It was just a blanket full of love. She loved everybody. And that was one thing I loved about her, is I didn't have to know her well to feel like I was part of her family. I didn't need to know everything about her for her to be nice to me. I didn't need to know Brittany's middle name until now. But just like Sally, Brittany has always made me feel like family. And that's something that's going to sit with me forever. And Sally, I know you're up there listening to us, baby girl. You just put in a good word for me and everybody else, you know. We need all the help we can get. But, you know, we'll see you whenever we get there, baby girl. I love you.
Thank you.
Go Draven!
Okay, so the original plan was I was going to come up here and play one of my grandmother's favorite songs, Iris. But in the midst of tuning the guitar, because it had such a wacky tuning, one of the strings snapped, and we couldn't get it fixed in time. So, and I'm really bad at writing. I'm really bad at talking. So I'm just going to come up here, and I'm going to tell a couple of, like, my favorite interactions with my grandmother in the more recent years. So, I would always go out, every time my dad went out, I would go with him. And every so often, my grandmother would call, and she would be like, "Hey, are you guys going to Walmart?" And of course, I'd be like, "No, Mom, we didn't really have an intention to go to Walmart." She'd be like, "Well, is there anything that you need?" "No, Mom, there's nothing that we need." And then, for some reason, she would bring up this tragedy, just out of nowhere. So it'd be like, "Hey, you going to Walmart?" "We're not going to Walmart." Well, is there anything you need?" "No, we don't need anything."
"A puppy fell in a well." That's terrible.
And she'd eventually coerce us into going, saying that she had a really small list, like it couldn't be more than 3 items.
No. 6 pages.
It was always like 50 items, 50 different things. Like, I thought we were coming here for just like, I don't know, some Reese's and a Mountain Dew. Why do we need toilet paper? Another thing, this happened one of the last times I saw Grandma. It was when she was in the hospital. Me and Dad would go up and visit her quite frequently. One of the times we visited her, she had like this tray of food there, and it had this lemon cake pie thing. So we all three were talking, and Grandma, being the everyone must be fed person she was constantly trying to offer us the lemon pie. So Dad said something along the lines of, "I swear, if you try to offer us that pie again, I'm going to throw it at the door." So 30 minutes go by, and I'm like, "Man, I'm surprised Grandma hasn't tried to offer us that thing again."
Yeah.
Well, my father was a man of his word. He took that pie and he just threw it at the closet door.
The look on her face like she couldn't believe I did it.
Not once. But this happened twice. I'm pretty
I
sure.
cleaned up the mess. I didn't leave it on the staff.
I'm actually pretty sure this was, unfortunately, the last time I saw her. But the last time I got to see her, my dad did throw a lemon cake at a closet door.
Oh my goodness.
And you know what? I think that is a lovely final memory to have, where everyone's just goofing off and having fun and unintentionally trashing a nice hospital. Good job, Dad. But yeah, that's just my little thing. I know it's not as formal as everyone else, but just want to get that out there.
Oh, God. Okay.
I'm not going to sit on the front, because you'll be next.
Oh, God. Okay.
You got
Hi, I'm Caitlin, but Sally considered me as her granddaughter and everything, but everybody calls me Katie, so just wanted to point that out there. I love Sally a lot. Sally went through a lot with me. They're just coming out and sharing my story and everything. She's always supported me. The last time I saw her was unfortunately in 2020, which really sucks, but you know, from being 3 or 4 hours away, it was hard, and my mom working. But the last time I was with her, she wanted Taco Bell, so we went and got her Taco Bell per usual. But there was this one time in 2019, my sister, Taylor, Brandon, and like all the others, my nephews, we were out at the mall, and Brandon was hungry, and he was ready to go, so he picked her up and carried her to the car and said, "Mama, I'm hungry." So that is something that I'll never
You
forget.
literally picked her up and carried her.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Very slow getting here.
Oh, my
The mall.
No, it's time to go.
You heard the bell.
But we went to Loveless Cafe in Franklin, and it was good. She had catfish or something like that. She's obsessed with catfish. There was other times to where me and Draven would always act up, and she would give us this fish eye, like just stare into your soul, which was quite terrifying. But you know, it's okay. Yeah, it was scary, but we've had a lot of memories, and there's also other times to where like Dad would be out with us, and he would hold her hand. And it looked like he was holding a little kid's hand, so because of how short she is. But there's a lot of memories I have with Sally, and I love her a lot. I miss her a lot, so that's it.
Guess third time's the charm. I'm Stephanie. I met Brittany in college, and I met Sally soon after. I think it was Founder's Day, when, you know, all of the family comes to visit you when you're in college to see what your dorm is like. And, you know, I had already moved off campus, and Brittany's like, you have to come up here and meet my mom. And her whole family was there. So there were children running around a dorm room, and I didn't really know how to handle it. But when I saw Sally, the first thing I noticed was she looks just like my mother. She's tiny little frame, same little poofed out red hair. And she said, hi, I'm Sally. And I said, that's my mom's name. And she said, well, then I'm your other mother. So it was just, I don't really have one good story, because any time you spent with her was a good story. And half of the stories that I have are things that were amazing things that she did that I wasn't a part of, but she wanted you to tell. She wanted you to know about it. And one of the biggest ones I remember, and I'm sorry, Brittany, I cannot remember the name of the band, but she took you to a concert, and this is the difference between my Sally and your Sally, is my Sally is extremely conservative, and your Sally, your mother, was the coolest woman I've ever met. But she took you to concerts, and my mother wouldn't do that in the wildest of days. But she took you to a concert, and you were hanging around backstage afterwards. And you wanted to go up front, and you were too nervous, and so she went up front. She found, I can't remember the lead singer's name, or if it was the lead singer or not, William Beckett. She called out to him, and she said, my daughter wants a picture with you. And he said, okay. So that happened, and every time they went to those concerts, he would ask where Sally is. And I remember one of the later incidents when I think she had just had a surgery or something. She was in a wheelchair, and you were up front, and William saw you and said, where's your mom? And she said, she can't make it up here. And he said, bring me to her. It was that important. She made such an impact on people's lives that no one can ever forget about her. And she, you know, she was all of our moms, you know. She took in everybody. And we all miss her. And she was everybody's other mother too. Is it because of the shirt?
Okay, well, I have a story to tell about the first time I got sick.
Okay.
Well, not the first, but like one of the times I got sick.
Not the first time.
No. So, Lindsay took me over to Grandma. And whenever I got there, she got Lindsay to go back out and get me some McDonald's. Do not know why, but yeah, whenever I was sick, I got a fish fillet and a McFlurry. Yeah. Well, after that, she had to get up, and then I helped her up, and she got so mad because I was taller than her.
Yeah.
So, and then she tried to push me down to make me shorter than her. And it was just not working. So she ended up making me lay back down, and she did not let me get up for the rest of the time I was there. And then this other time we were watching Jeopardy, and before the people even answered the question, she would just yell it out.
She's seen it before.
And she said, "I've seen this episode before." And I said, "Oh yeah, of course you did." But every time I would go over there, we would either watch Jeopardy or Criminal Minds or something. Her favorite was what was the one called? Blue Bloods. Yeah, that one. She loved Tom Selleck.
No, not Tom Selleck.
His
mustache.
His mustache.
It's not the man.
It's its own separate character.
Yeah, and one of the last time I talked to her, she wanted me to get a McDouble, I'm pretty sure it was. And whenever I asked Lindsay to get it, she asked me why. And I said, I don't know. but she told me to get one. And then she wanted me to give all of the dogs love, and I made sure I did that. And I'll never forget my best friend and the one I used to always watch Jeopardy with.
Come on.
Hi, I'm Samantha. I'm one of the unofficial kids that Sally adopted. I've known her since I was 15, and I will never forget the first time I saw her. We were on stage practicing for Lonnie the Litter Gitter Gator, and there's this tiny short woman holding, also the first time I saw Draven, this itty bitty this itty bitty baby just waddling down the road. It's a closed practice, by the way. She was not supposed to be there, but me and Brittany were in it, and she's just showing off her grandkid to a bunch of high school kids, and that was it. Like, she was my mom. I spent so much time over at her house. She gave the best hugs, and she never let go. Like, it doesn't matter if you were done with the hug. It was when Sally was done with the hug. Everyone's talked about how much she loved food, and she did. I would not be hungry. I could have just eaten at my own house and gone over to hang out with Brittany, and she'd be like, "Oh, I've got this. I'll make you food." Just handing bags of Doritos, drinks, water, everything. But one of the memories I remember the most, and Brittany knows it's my favorite Sally memory, we were wedding dress shopping for Brittany's wedding. And we were all sitting around their house in that small apartment that her and Taylor had. And Sally, in a very Sally move, was talking about how she Facebook friended one of Brittany's friends who she'd never met. She has never met this person. I don't know if they've actually ever met face to face. But not only did she add this person as a Facebook friend, she messaged him. And I just remember laughing and dying on the floor while Brittany chewed her out and was just like, Mom, why would you do that? And Sally just defended herself, be like, no, it's okay. He responded. I remember going and eating sushi with her that same weekend. I still have that picture of the four of us. I remember the first time her colon ruptured. Brittany was in Birmingham, and I was in Montgomery in the same city as Sally. And I spent every day after work in the hospital, in that waiting room with her. And they refused to tell me anything until Brittany chewed out this poor nurse. And she was like, that's her daughter. You tell her whatever she needs to know. And she was my mom too. And Brittany talked about the Sally-sized hole, and it's there, and I loved her so much, and I'm gonna miss her so much. Her not being in that spare room when I come over. It's hard to accept that she's not here anymore, because she, for everyone who knows her, she fought through everything. There were so many times that we thought, this is it, we've gotta get right, and then she would be fine. She would be drinking Mountain Dew, or playing with the dogs, or getting onto Brittany about something. And so this last time I thought it was gonna be the same. And she gave birth to my best friend. My life is infinitely better because she was there, and just because she existed, I am in a better place because of it, because of her. So I love you, Sally, and I don't think I could ever express how much I miss you.
Well, we have some visuals and pictures of Sally's life that may give you some images you've not seen before, or some of them may be familiar. We're going to have an opportunity to see these, and then we're going to give you a chance to continue to share stories at the fellowship time. We've got plenty of Mountain Dew. We've got plenty of the things that are the junk food that Sally loved, and I think many of you have from what I heard in the stories. So let's move to the visuals, okay? Or you have something?
I just have one more very short thing to read, and this was a request from my mom's aunt. Our great aunt is about to be 88 years old, and she couldn't be here today, though she very much wished she could be. So she just asked me to share this very short poem called Her Journey's Just Begun. Don't think of her as gone away. Her journey's just begun. Life holds so many facets. This earth is only one. Just think of her as resting from the sorrows and the tears in a place of warmth and comfort where there are no days and years. Think how she must be wishing that we can know today how nothing but our sadness can really pass away. And think of her as living in the hearts of those she touched, for nothing loved is ever lost, and she was loved so much.
Rose and flows of angel hair, and ice cream castles in the air, and feather canyons everywhere. Looked at clouds that way, but now they only block the sun. They rain and they snow on everyone. So many things I would have done, but clouds got in my way. I've looked at clouds from both sides now, from up and down, and still somehow it's cloud illusions I recall. I really don't know clouds. At all. Moons and Junes and Ferris wheels, the dizzy dancing way that you feel as every fairy tale comes real. I've looked at love that way, but now it's just another show. And you leave them laughing when you go. And if you can, don't let them know. Don't give yourself away. I've looked at love from both sides now, from give and take, and still somehow it's love's illusions that I recall. I really don't know love. I really don't know love at all. Tears and fears and feeling proud to say I love you right out loud. Dreams and schemes and circus crowds. I've looked at life that way. Oh, but now, old friends, they're acting strange. And they shake their heads and they tell me that I've changed. Well, something's lost, but something's gained in living every day. I've looked at life from both sides now, from win and lose, and still somehow it's life's illusions I recall. I really don't know life at all. It's life's illusions that I recall. I really don't know life. I really don't know life at all. shortness of breath. I'll explain the infinite, how rare and beautiful it truly is that we exist.
Well, it's not over. You get to go out and enjoy some food, get to share some more stories. And I want to thank you all for sharing your stories. I never knew Sally. But there's this strange thing that happens in God's grace. I experienced resurrection because now she lives in me. And so thank you for sharing her with me and with others. And I hope you continue to share your stories together. May God's grace go with you. Amen.
Every generation blames the one before, and all of their frustrations come beating on your door. I know that I'm a prisoner to all my father held so dear. I know that I'm a hostage to all his hopes and fears. I just wish I could have told him in the living years. Oh, crumpled bits of paper filled with imperfect thoughts, still to conversations. I'm afraid that's all we've got. You say you just don't see it. He says it's perfect sense. You just can't get agreement in this present tense. We all talk a different language, talking in defense. Say it loud. Say it loud. Say it clear. Oh, say it clear. You can listen as well as you hear. It's too late. It's too late when we die. future. It's the bitterness that lasts. So don't yield to the fortunes you sometimes see as fate. It may have a new perspective on a different day. And if you don't give up and don't give in, you may just be okay. So say it, say it, say it loud. Say it clear. Oh, say it clear. You can listen as well as you hear. Because it's too late. It's too late when we die. Whoa, when we die. To admit we don't see eye to eye. I wasn't there that morning when my father passed away. I didn't get to tell him all the things I had to say. I think I caught his spirit later that same year. I'm sure I heard his echo in my baby's newborn tears. I just wish I could have told him